Hey, what's up? It's Jake. In case you don't know, Esperanza Spalding just finished up a 77-hour marathon recording session where she went into the studio, she conceived, created, wrote, arranged, performed, overdubbed, and partially mixed an entire album. If you've never made music before, I can forgive you for thinking that this is just normal, that a person can just set their mind to creating an entire album's worth of lyrics, melodies, harmonies, time signatures, all that in just a little over 3 days. But in reality, that is a monumental feat. Sure, it's not uncommon for a band to go into a studio and record everything in just 2 or 3 days. But in those situations, it typically comes after weeks or even months of serious practicing and rehearsing, working out all the kinks of the music, making adjustments here and there, writing the lyrics. Everything comes together somewhat slowly for most musicians, and at the very least, even if they were to get together and write one song per session, you still wouldn't write 10 songs over the course of 3 days and record it and overdub all the parts, add vocals, add harmonies. This album is going to be amazing, and to watch somebody go from start to finish like that is just absolutely mind-bending. I didn't know that this project was going on until Wednesday afternoon. A friend of mine posted on Facebook a link to the actual video, and I didn't know anything about it, so I read the description and I was like blown away by the fact that someone was not only doing this in this short amount of time, but that they were live streaming the entire process. So you had, a drummer, a guitar player, 2 keys players, a violinist, a singer, and then Esperanza Spalding, who did all the main vocals, all the bass parts, both stand-up bass and electric bass. Plus, she did, harmonies and all the arrangement, with some help from the rest of the guys and stuff. But, I would say a vast majority of the arrangement was her, the composition and everything. That's just amazing. But to watch all those people get together with one mind set on creating this artistic thing and realizing this vision, super inspiring. I wish that more artists were able to do this. I think there are a lot of hurdles to doing this sort of thing. Number one, in today's world, it seems like records get done in little bits. It's not like the old days where a record label would sign a band and put them up in a house or something for a month or 2 months or 6 months or whatever it is, and let them be creative whenever they feel like it, but they're constantly there. I think it's more that fewer artists have the budget to, say, rent an entire studio for a considerable length of time, so they collaborate over Skype, or they get together just when they're in town together, and maybe they'll throw an idea down and they'll record it on their laptop or whatnot, and then at a later date maybe they'll come back and revisit the little snippets of ideas that they've come up with over the weeks or months. And I think especially in a situation like a solo artist like Esperanza Spalding, where she doesn't have like a permanent band who is with her all the time, that sort of situation probably occurs more often than not, because you're wanting to collaborate with certain people, but your schedule and their schedule isn't always going to align. And now that the world is such a global, environment where people are kind of everywhere, and everybody that's working together is from here, there, and all over the place. You might have somebody from Washington, D.C., somebody from New York City, somebody from Los Angeles, and they're all working together on a project. In the past, you just had to be around the people that you wanted to make music with, so you would have permanent bands, or at least you would be forming these projects around a group of people who are from your town or close to your town, to where you could all get together pretty feasibly. In this situation, it was really cool to see everyone. I don't know where everyone's from. The players that are involved, I don't know where they're all from, but it definitely seems like they were aligning their schedule to be able to go into the studio for this particular period of time. They had 2 different guest artists that came in to just do their song, and so they were only there for a very limited amount of time, and then they had to go. The guitar player left before the last day, things like that. So I think there was definitely some scheduling, I don't want to say problems, but sort of maybe some finesse needed to be applied to get the schedules to work out right. Not only do you have to collaborate with those musicians in getting your schedule right, but for this particular project, they also had to coordinate with the recording engineers. They also had to coordinate with the group who came and recorded the entire thing. OIID, I'm not sure if you would pronounce that like OID, but they are the ones who actually produced the video with, tons of different camera angles. They're the ones that live streamed the entire process from start to finish. There was a big countdown clock on the wall, and they did a really good job. I was very impressed. The streams were super high quality. They did a good job of capturing the feeling of being in the studio. If you're not a musician, I don't know how to describe the feeling of being in the studio, and it's like a different kind of creative environment that sort of makes you feel like super excited, like you're bursting out of your skin, because there's just some kind of magic in the air. As much as I don't believe in the supernatural, there's definitely some kind of energy that happens when you are in a recording studio that you can't replicate anywhere else. I've never had it replicated on stage or in a rehearsal space. Even creating music in my own studio at my house doesn't have the effect of walking into a place that you're not familiar with, seeing all the equipment, seeing the drum room, seeing different places for people to set up, maybe a vocal booth, and seeing all of that stuff and knowing the other artists that have walked through those doors and been a part of something great in that room. It definitely just kind of inspires so much more than your everyday kind of situation. So to be able to be a fly on the wall and watch this occur, and to have this camera crew documenting this entire thing, and they weren't in the way, they weren't trying to be in the shots, they weren't asking questions like reporters, they were just documenting everything in a passive way. Very, very well done. Like I said, there's a lot of different things I'm sure had to be finessed into place for this entire project to go down, and to go down without a hitch. And so I think it's probably not feasible to expect every kind of artist to be able to go into a studio like this and create this sort of experience, not only for each other but for the fans. But I think there are people who might be able to pull this sort of thing off, especially well-educated musical minds. like jazz performers, like the ones that Esperanza Spalding put together to make this record. I think it's, if you have that sort of academic background to your playing, where you can quickly and easily communicate to each other the ideas that you have, I think it's probably much easier to at least bring those thoughts to fruition than it would be if you're playing with, 3 or 4 other people who don't know how to read music and aren't super savvy with different time signatures and stuff. There was some stuff in 5/4, there was some stuff in 7/4, just different kinds of stuff going on. I mean, it's jazz, but to have those kinds of musicians go in there and do that, I think you could probably do this more readily with a jazz group that you put together, or a jazz group that's a permanent band. I could see someone like Ben Folds trying to pull this off. I could see him going into the studio with a couple people and trying to make something happen. I definitely could see that. There are other people that I could definitely see getting involved in something like this. Yannick Gwizdala, maybe. I could see Victor Wooten doing something. Can you imagine if Bela Fleck and the Flecktones decided they were going to do this and go in the studio and spend several days and create stuff from start to finish? I mean, it would just be absolutely amazing. But even if a band doesn't want to do this entire thing, I think it was definitely something special that they were live streaming this process. I've always been a big fan of documentary DVDs and stuff like that. I have several DVDs of bands in the studio recording albums, and those bring me closer to the group, because I feel like I'm sort of in on their process and stuff like that. But those are after the fact. There's still that disconnect. I know that this thing that I'm watching is already over. It's like trying to watch a sporting event 3 days after it's happened. You already know what happens. You know the final score. There's nothing to learn from watching it other than just seeing how it unfolded. And that's still cool, but it's not as cool as watching it while it happens. Same can be said about this situation here. If this were just a videotaped 3 days of all this excitement and this creativity and everything, I think it would still be phenomenal to watch. However, I don't think that it would necessarily capture the same feelings that have been captured based on this being live streamed. At any given moment, there was, between 2,000 and 2,500 people streaming this, because, Facebook Live shows you at the top how many people are watching, and there's a comment feed. People are watching. I mean, I watched hours and hours and hours and hours of this, and because of all those hours and watching the songs kind of develop and hearing something and then wondering if they're going to sort of revisit that, or wondering if they're going to take it this direction or this direction, and seeing how things unfold, it makes the viewer, at least for me, it made me feel like I was a part of it. Obviously I wasn't, but it made me feel like I had some sort of part in creating this music. Like, just by my watching it unfold, I feel like I was like making something happen. And that's an amazing feeling. I feel connected to this music. I feel like when that record comes to my door and I can put it on my record player and listen to it, I feel like, I'm gonna feel like I'm getting to listen to a record that I recorded. If you're a musician and you've ever recorded an album and you wait until finally all the stuff is done, the artwork is finished, the uploads have been done, and everything's ready to stream and everything's ready to be released, and the album is finished, and you send it off and you get it pressed, and then they show up at your door. You get a box of CDs or vinyl or whatever it is, that feeling of opening that thing that you've created is so amazing. You know, you pull that out, you take the plastic off of one copy, you look at it, you read it, you go through the whole liner notes. This is all stuff that you've seen. You know, in the case of my last album that I was a part of, I'm the one that put a lot of it together, so it wasn't anything I hadn't seen before. You know, I'm the one that uploaded the files. I'm the one that sent everything off. So for me, it was like, why would I need to see that again? Why would I need to scrutinize every word? Why would I need to see all that? But it's because when you're holding this thing, this like physical manifestation of this intellectual thing that you've created, it's like, I don't know, it's like seeing something become reality that wasn't reality before, even though it was. And to be able to put that into a CD player or a record player or whatever it is, and listen back to this art that you've been a part of creating is such a dynamic feeling that it's hard to replicate. And I feel like whenever I get this vinyl from pre-ordering it through this process, I feel like I'm going to have that same feeling. You know, I'm going to open that package and I'm going to stare at it and I'm going to look at it intently. Not just, you know, that's cool, and turn it over and look at the other side and then throw that to the side while I put the record on. No, this is going to be something where I look at every square millimeter of this cover design and the back, and, you know, I'm going to read the liner notes and I'm going to say, hey, I feel like I'm connected to that guy and that girl and that producer and that engineer. You know, I'm going to feel like there's something more there than just being a fan of the music. You know, like prior to this situation, I would say that I had a serious respect for Esperanza Spalding. I liked what she did. I thought she was a great artist, but I had never really put the time or the energy into being a fan. And I think at this point, after being a part of all this and watching all of this unfold, I don't think there's any doubt that I will be a huge fan from here until forever. Anything she does from here on out, I will watch like a hawk. I'll keep up with her website. I'll go to her shows if I can. You know, anything I can be a part of, I will be a part of. Anything I can experience, I will experience, because this whole thing has made me feel a connection that most bands don't get to have with their fans. And like I said, when this record shows up at my house, I'm probably not going to view it like I'm just getting another cool record. I'm going to view that record like something that I had a part in has finally come to fruition, and it shows up and I'm able to enjoy something that I was at least a party to from the start to the finish. You know, I'll listen to a song and I'll say, oh, I remember when she started that song out and it had upright bass, but by the time it's recorded it has electric bass on it. Or I'll remember, oh well, that vocal melody was slightly different when she came to the table with that idea. Or, hey, I remember when they decided to add Mellotron to this, and then they decided, well, you know, that part's a little too wonky or washy or loud or whatever. And I'll remember the sloshy clang of the hi-hats. And, you know, there's a lot of little in-jokes and things like that obviously there are only 5 or 6 people that truly experienced those in-jokes, but there's thousands of people who watched the stream who get the joke. You know, they feel it. You know, there's a like a group page on Facebook that's all about this whole album, and somebody posed the question, what was your favorite moment, or what was your favorite line of the whole thing? And people are just going on and on and on, just one-liner after one-liner of like little moments that happened. And, you know, for someone who watched a lot of it, 99% of those comments, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, or I missed that, or whatever, but it makes you feel like you're a part of this community. So not only did it bring me to a point of feeling a connection with Esperanza Spalding and her group of professional players and the sound engineer and all that stuff, but it also made me somewhat feel connected to the other people who were along for the ride. It's not like going to a show and standing next to somebody for an hour while you watch a band perform. This was, being a part of watching something unfold for 3 days. 3 days and 5 hours. And everyone has the same sort of memories of it, the same experience. And if you didn't experience it, then you wouldn't be a part of it. You wouldn't feel the same way. You wouldn't get the in-jokes, those kinds of things. So there's definitely a sense of community that has manifested through watching this and being a part of it. And even though you're not a part of it, I'm not a part of it. I'm not in the group. My name's not going to be in the liner notes. But when they do an interview and someone asks them about a certain song and how it unfolded, I'll already know the answer. I won't have to hear them explain it because I was there. And it's funny. It's like we were all there. It's like having 2,500 people in this intimate room where people are hashing out an idea for the bridge of a song, and not very many experiences can compare to that level of like intimate connection, especially not on the scale of thousands of people live streaming it at once. Again, like I said, I get that there are limitations that make this something that not every band could do, but I would definitely like to see some bands, some artists, maybe try to emulate parts of it. Maybe you don't have to do a whole album, but maybe on the next album you decide, hey, I'm gonna get together with my group and we're gonna live stream an entire day where we just try to brainstorm ideas for a new song, and we come up with the whole concept and we write the entire song. Maybe they don't even record it. Maybe it's not like a studio situation. Maybe it's a band rehearsal situation. But there is nothing that compares to the connection you have with your fans when you open up and you let them see the creative process. When somebody is invested in the way you came about the final product, they will be much bigger fans of the final product. There is no initial slap in the face of, oh, this is something new, I have to figure out what I like about it or figure out how I feel about it. By the time this album comes out and I get to put it on my record player, all the songs will feel like home. They'll all feel super familiar and comfortable and warm, and they'll bring back memories, because it's going to be a month or 2 or 3 or whatever before this stuff is pressed and actually comes out. So there's going to be that little period of cooling off from this whole thing, and then it's all going to come right back as soon as I put that on my record player. And when I put that on and I hear those notes and I hear those voices and I hear the arrangements and the songs, I'm going to be playing that stream in my mind. It's going to come with its own music video in my brain of the process. And that's something that I can't even, fathom how anybody could have known that this was happening and didn't indulge in it. I feel like this is something huge that I'm so fortunate to be a part of, and it was free. Anyone could log on and watch it happen, and that's just beautiful. But I hope other artists try to take snippets of this to try to connect with their audiences in a different way than just putting a music video out there or creating a live concert DVD or even, creating a documentary. Like, this is like one step beyond a documentary, because it's not only are you seeing it unfold, but you're seeing it unfold live. There is no cutting stuff out and leaving it on the cutting room floor. There is no edits. I mean, when you're watching something happen live, you know that everything that's happening is genuine and real. There is no like, hey, let's pretend to walk in the room and everyone smiles, or hey, let's not release this take of the song because it was a train wreck. Let's record another take and pretend like we just came up with this. Not that I would think that, but you don't even have the opportunity to think that sort of thing when you're watching stuff happen live. So it's such a dynamic experience, and if you didn't get to check it out, I'm sure there will be video of people either screen capturing it, or maybe Esperanza Spalding will release the video back onto the web so that people can experience it after the fact. I definitely think it's worth checking out. If it ever comes up again that you can watch something like this, please take advantage of it, because especially as a musician, but even if I wasn't a musician, this look into the process will change your life. I feel super inspired. I feel excited about the prospect of making music. I feel like there's so much energy in making music, and the emphasis on collaboration and listening and things like that, and trying to work with other people, and there's not time to step on other people's toes, and there's not time to bicker about little things here and there or arrangements. If you just take everything in as if it's an exciting new layer onto the idea that you already had, the sky's the limit. I saw things unfold on this live recording that I'm just blown away by. Some of the melodies and some of the little ideas that came to fruition. They're just awesome, and I definitely feel a connection that I've never really felt before with a group or an artist. And A+ to Esperanza Spalding for having this idea. She only is releasing 7,777 copies on vinyl and CD, and they're already sold out, so you can't order anymore. And she says this isn't going to be available for digital download or streaming, so if you didn't get a copy, then you might just have to watch some replays of it on Facebook or on YouTube or whatnot, and hold out for the next one, and hopefully she does this again. I'm not saying that I suggest that she would be able to do this for every album that she does, but she's proven now that she can pull it off. She and her group of people proved that. So, if I were her or any of the people in that group, I'd be super, super proud of the accomplishment. I would be excited, and I think someday, I mean, it's already the case, but I think someday, in the grand scheme of things, this project, this moment is going to be remembered as a groundbreaking, earth-shattering paradigm shift in crowd engagement and fan experience kind of stuff. I'm definitely confident in that. So kudos to everyone involved. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. If you haven't seen it or haven't heard anything about it prior to this, go check it out. It's amazing. I hope other artists at least take a snippet of this and try to do something with it. Maybe this is the future. Maybe this is what bands and album creation looks like in the future, at least on a small scale. So, interesting to see what happens. As always, stay positive, hang loose.